kind of dramatizing certain events so that people connect more deeply to the story of the person who they're watching. I am spearheading the project, and also I would be called the Sutradhar, so I'm the storyteller, helping people discover these people. So these are the real heroes who I hope to introduce to not just my children, but every child.
Really excellent, but let me ask you a follow-up question, because we are in Kerala, the home of Malayalam cinema. And feel free to disagree.
There was recently a very beautiful film, I can't remember the name, about...
You post very interesting stuff on Instagram. And so what would your advice be to the audience here? Somebody wants to engage on these serious issues or like climate or environment, because social media plays trolls and can make life very unpleasant. So how sort of advice to anyone who wants to get engaged in this?
Well, I think personally for me, social media in my activism, I think I've had the ability to engage with very many people over the years. In fact, I see two smiling faces right here in front of me who have had the good fortune to engage with young children. Some kids I've been engaging and interacting with over a decade on the themes of climate and environmental action. And so many of the campaigns that we bring to people, to civil society, circulate really well because of social media. So social media has been, again, a very powerful instrument of social change. It's been a very powerful instrument to bring about behavioral change. And I use it frequently. I use it in a way where it's personal. Like I said, as I learn and I grow, I share. And I'll give you an example of the traveling bottle. So about 6-7 years ago, I decided I would never drink a sip of water from a packaged water bottle again. And this was right after I filmed Ganga, the Soul of India. And I started traveling with my own metal bottle everywhere I went, and I started photographing it and posting the picture online with the hashtag traveling bottle and beat plastic pollution, which is a very powerful campaign launched by the United Nations Environment Programme. And I can't even begin to tell you how much joy it gives me when I see thousands and lakhs of people doing the same thing now. Because when I started off, I was like a lone ranger, and now there are so many more people I see at rail airports, at shopping malls, at schools, at gyms, at, celebrities get papped outside restaurants and spaces and places, and they have their own bottle with them, which is great. So I really believe that if you use the platforms positively, and you use it in a way where you're engaging with people to bring about change, and you're celebrating good work, and you're sharing that positivity and those positive stories. And of course, every now and then it's important to ask pertinent questions and not just work with government, but also question government. And yes, you can get trolled for doing that, because that's not taken very kindly. But that's okay. I think it's important to be persistent and keep walking the path that one has chosen. The dark side of social media is not just the trolling, but the misinformation and the lies and the propaganda that is spread. In fact, there's so many lies about the climate that it's not a catastrophe and it's not changing, and whatever is happening is natural and normal, and it's being, used to, there's all kinds of propaganda out there. So I think it's so important for us to verify any information that we receive before we share, out the lies when we see it, and ensure that we don't help spreading misinformation. And we know, during the pandemic, social media was such a powerful instrument to connect people, to help people. We saw such a lot of work being done through social media, because people were helping each other oxygen, people were helping each other get to hospitals, people were helping each other with funerals. there was so much amazing work. There was this time when there were young people living overseas who could not travel back to the country, and through the power of social media, they actually had complete strangers help with the last rites of their parents. And I don't think there can be anything more meaningful and humbling and wonderful about that platform, right? So yes, it depends on how we choose to use it, and I really believe that it can make a huge difference. And we all know now that almost 5.3 billion people have access to mobile phones, are mobile phone users, and most of those 5.3 billion people have internet. But there is still a significant number of people who are left behind, who are experiencing a divide. Especially during the pandemic, we realized that there were so many young children who had access to the internet, who were getting to continue with school, but there were so many millions of others who could not continue with school because they did not have access to the internet and to phones or any kind of technology. So that technology inequity has to be addressed, and there's so much more we need to do.
That's a very important point that you're raising. 2 years of schooling has gone, and we'll see the long-term impacts.
Well, I mean, when we look at the goals, on almost all of the most significant sustainable development goals, we've had severe setbacks.
Yes.
We've gone back decades,
Yes.
and which makes the work that we need to do that much more urgent, what technology we use. So I think this is a very powerful campaign. I hope the LIFE campaign really, really reaches far and wide. I do believe in the power of individual choice. I do believe that every single person has the ability to not just inspire but mobilize serious action. I have a beautiful young girl sitting right in front of me here, Garvita Gulati, who is an example, a young example of how she has mobilized change. And she's not a celebrity, but she is a celebrity now because of the choices that she's made. So glass half full, and Garvita, we are so proud of you. Like Garvita, there are so many young people making such massive strides in the right direction. I've engaged with, so I do this session with young people called Down to Earth with D on Instagram, which is a conversation with young people who are doing incredible work across the country. So of course there are great people like Afroz Shah, who's been leading the world's biggest beach cleanup. There's Healing Himalayas, Pradeep Sangwan. There is these young children in Delhi who have mobilized their entire colonies and their societies to learn how to segregate waste and compost waste, and now they've gone the distance where they are now collecting every other form of waste and converting it into a circular economy and getting revenue and giving money back to the society, and they're really mobilizing serious action. And then of course I get to meet amazing people who are traveling the length and the breadth of the country, teaching people to be solar self-reliant, and a professor from IIT Bombay has been doing this. He's committed 11 years to the road, and all he's doing is engaging with people across the country, teaching them how to build solar energy and create solar energy. And then of course I met this amazing man called Dr. Anil Prakash Joshi, who cycled at the age of 69 from Mumbai to Dehradun, raising environmental awareness and consciousness and talking about how we need to fix this broken relationship with nature. So these are great people. They may not be stars, they may not be featured in mainstream media regularly, but they are the real heroes. They are people who are making a real difference, and I'm very grateful that I got a chance to highlight some of their work.
Thank you so much, and yeah, let's give a big hand. So before we close, maybe we can take a couple of questions from the audience. Please raise your hand and please introduce yourself. Do we have mics? Yeah.
You can use the podium.
I can use the podium.
So thank you very much for your inspiring life story and your vision and your passion about this. It's really comes through very clearly when you're speaking. So I've been working climate change my whole career, about 30 years, and I think a lot of us are like this. One day you wake up and you see commitments and you see action by countries and you see, you know, new prices of solar coming down and electric vehicles on the road.
And more people agreeing that climate is changing, and this is not just a crisis but a catastrophe.
Exactly. So it's fantastic, and you're having a good day, and then the next day you wake up and you hear about the Pakistan floods, or you hear about, you know, another species is endangered. And so I would love to hear from you. How do you tackle that sort of when those dark days are here, and you know, find some hope in all of this? Because I think the key thing about hope is you still have some agency, and you know you can have some change. So I'm just curious what you do on those darker days and any inspiration you can give to us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for that question. I felt very despondent this morning. I woke up and I was looking out the window, and there was this thick smog. The sky was gray. I couldn't see beyond 5-10 meters. I checked the AQI levels. It was 350 in Mumbai. And we have 2 children at home. And this is not new. I mean, I've known this for years, and we've been working and trying to find solutions. But yes, there are days when you wake up and you say, oh my God, are we ever going to be able to fix these problems? And then I think of what Jane Goodall says about hope. So long as we can continue being committed to action, individual action, and we know that we're doing the best we can every day, we're okay. We'll be okay. And we have to believe in that and trust that, because I think what alarms us is the vulnerability and the fragility of the situation, and the fact that things are getting worse and things are intensifying every single time. And yes, it can make you feel really scared and despondent, but I think we just need to keep our hands on our hearts and tell ourselves that we'll be okay. We just need to keep doing the work. And I hope to be able to give my son this sense of hope as well, because I would hate for our children to look away or look the other way because they're scared. I think what we need to do is embrace the reality and say, this is the reality that we've been, you know, brought into this world with, and we can fix it so long as we remain steadfast in our commitment to doing every single thing that we can every day. If I wasn't composting my waste, if I wasn't, you know, so focused on bringing attention to air pollution as regularly as I do, I think I would have felt a lot more helpless this morning.
We can take one more question.
You want to ask? The mic is behind you. Okay.
Yeah, please do introduce yourself before you speak.
Hi, I'm Shikha Bhasin. I'm a researcher on climate change. I work for a think tank called the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. You know, it's always really encouraging to hear from a person who's connected into the sector and not necessarily in project implementation or in designing the studies that you allude to. So it's good to know that you're reading and paying attention to some of the work that we're all trying to do here. I wanted to ask you, because you've now been in this role for a while and you're easily one of the faces and the names that we all associate, you know, in terms of being a champion for climate and the environment. Do you think as organizations, you know, whether it is the UN, whether it is the World Bank, we should really be thinking more about having more celebrities or, like, you know, sort of the star value get connected in the space of climate, and then that could be solar separately, cooling separately, you know, the range of actions that need to happen. Just wondering what your take is on that, so that we can also start thinking.
Shikha, get everyone. get anyone and everyone who understands it and who really can walk the talk. I think the more collaborations, the more partnerships. So one of the reasons why I stepped up and started doing the work that I'm doing is because I recognized that there was great work happening in silos. And the only way we could really push the needle, shift the needle, was if we started engaging civil society, and whether it's, you know, with children in school or universities or just homemakers, it could be anyone. Can you find cricketers who understand the crisis, who are willing to bring the changes that they need to in their everyday life, who are willing to, you know, then take the good work that you're doing to a wider number of people? Go right ahead and partner with every single person who is passionate and cares. I think the more, the merrier, but more than anything else, we need a lot more communication, a lot more work being done to engage with civil society and with governments and with industry.
So we are out of time. So I think we need to give Dia a big round of applause for such an inspiring message. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for being here again.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Abbas sir and Birsamma, for the wonderful discussion. This session made us understand the significance of awareness and education for climate action. Thank you all for your participation today and for a wonderful evening. I would like to invite you all for the dinner. This dinner is hosted by the Government of Kerala. Have a good evening, and we look forward to have you join for our sessions at 9 a.m. at Leela Kovalam tomorrow. Once again, thank you, good evening and goodbye. Evarkum Shubharatri.